Hey, what's up my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor and I help people navigate through their ascension process. And I've been getting asked a lot about the fifth dimension recently. So today I'm going to do a video of 7 signs you're shifting with the planet and many others into the fifth dimension, a parallel Earth, the new Earth, the higher vibrational plane of existence that a lot of us sense we are building towards. Number 1 is you're able to see and sense and differentiate different densities of matter, of your life, of places, people, situations, even ideas. You can feel the heaviness or lack thereof of pretty much all of life. You can distinguish something that is of a higher vibrational nature. It tends to be more light, more vibrant, more resonant with you. And you can also sense and experience things that are of a lower density, more heavier emotions, darkness, fear, anger, and just even physical representations of those energies, maybe not having anything at all to do with people. You can feel, you can see, again, you can tell what is dense and what is not dense. And I'm not talking like on a superficial level, on a fundamental energetic level. You have the ability to perceive this. Number 2 is you're going through a personal transformation right now. You can call it a spiritual awakening, spiritual unfoldment, midlife crisis, whatever you want. You're going through a multifaceted personal evolutionary growth spurt, and a lot of you right now at this time are experiencing growing pains associated with that. You're being faced with your old self, your old inner child. All the old stuff that has been unconscious for most of your life is starting to become conscious, starting to sort of be purged out of you, and it's just this massive multifaceted, cathartic, spiritual awakening process that is required to match the newer vibrations that are coming into the planet so you can ascend with it. You're going through it. And this can be experienced in a million different ways. I won't get into the details because so many of my videos talk about this, but there's physical symptoms. You might have ringing in your ears. You might not be sleeping very well. You might have random aches and pains. Your diet's changing. Your body is going through a lot. Your emotions are flailing up at you at random and seemingly unrelated times. It's just a very... You know you're going through something. You probably, before you knew what it was, you were probably looking online trying to figure out what the hell's going on with you. Are you depressed? Should you see a doctor? You're going through something. By now, hopefully most of you know it's just a spiritual awakening, and it's a good thing even though it can be tough. Number 3 is you see synchronicity. You see repetitive numbers, songs. You see ironic coincidences in your daily life that are personal and individual to you, that can act as a confirmation, a validation, a source of guidance, a source of warning. You have that going down in your own life. You know what I'm talking about. It happens every day, multiple times a day for most of you. Your reality, your physical reality speaks to you. It lets you know what's going on inside of you. You are given messages from your higher consciousness in a physical way now. That is more representative of this 4th density or 5th dimensional plane of existence. Life is more like that. It's sort of the blending of the physical and the ephemeral and spiritual. It's starting to kind of blend itself, and you are experiencing that actually. Sorry, I had to move. Anyway, number 4 is you're becoming really psychic without even trying. This can be a lot different than what we might have had in our minds as a definition of being psychic. I don't mean you can predict the future. Some of you can probably, but I don't mean in a conventional sense. More like you get impressions, and we all get them differently, that provide us with information that we would have normally not have known. I'll give an example. That sounded kind of confusing too. So I was at a concert just the other night, Perfect Circle. Badass concert, and I was walking through this crowd, which I was pleasantly impressed with how how good of a vibe it was. Usually a big concert crowd is kind of intense and kind of like, you know, I put up with it to enjoy the show. But these people were very calm. It was like all a bunch of thousands of introverts all got together to see like a nice show they all enjoy. So I noticed this, and I thought to myself, man, if I was to, I just got the thought in my head that I could totally see myself running into somebody from my, that watches me on YouTube here, of all places, because it seemed like our kind of vibe. And sure enough, seconds later, this doesn't happen to me all the time, once in a while, but seconds later, someone comes right up to me, looks me right in the face and says, oh, you're Victor Odo, oh my God. And then we had a nice little conversation. She was like a fan of mine. But again, I got the thought. It's not like I was thinking about that all day, just that thought popped in my head, and the timing was just insanely impeccable. It was split seconds later, someone's right in my face saying, hey, I know you. So that kind of thing. So again, I didn't like rub a crystal ball and have a fairy come to me in my dream. It was just something real simple. I got the thought about something, and then there it was. A lot of times we have these psychic impressions and don't really know that that's what's happening. But as they start happening more and more, I've learned to sort of sometimes differentiate just a random thought and then some sort of psychic impression. And then I've gotten a little better at using that to my advantage to help me out in some way throughout my life. So that might be happening to you in your own way. Maybe you're getting dreams that end up coming true, or you just have the idea to do something on a certain day and then you do it, and then the result that you expected happened and you don't know why. You just had the thought to do it, you trusted it, you took a little leap of faith, just kind of seeing what would happen, and sure enough, you had some kind of mind-blowing result that was the direct result of you following that little glimpse, that little psychic impression of yours. So in these higher realms, we are just more psychic. We're more in tune to our spiritual nature. And these are not abilities we must cultivate, although you can work at them, but they're just more natural to living in a higher frequency, being a higher frequency version of ourselves. It's just going to be more commonplace, more simple, more natural. They're natural abilities that we've just densified ourselves to such an extent that most people don't experience them. But you will start to, and probably already have. I'm trying to think of how to word this next one, but essentially you're changing so much on a deep level, like your core values, your priorities, that kind of thing, at a very deep level in a very big way. And you're becoming more aligned with more of like a loving embodiment of yourself, a loving version of yourself. But this can sort of be seen initially as like big time disruptions in your life. Like you might be at a job that made sense at the time. You might have put 20 years into this job and be close to retiring, but it's becoming so unfulfilling that you really question whether you're going to be able to stick it out. Even though on paper, the idea of cutting this short, having put so much time in, is just seems so stupid and illogical and asinine. But because all the other things I mentioned, you're becoming able to differentiate the densities of things. You're starting to feel it and experience it as a very low vibration experience, a low vibration place, low vibration people, very unfulfilling, very misaligned, very dissonant, very draining. It's just really becoming a super painful experience to go to work, something you've been doing maybe for most of your life. So these core changes are good because in a sense you're going to eventually find something that fulfills you, and when you go to work, quote unquote, it's going to be an uplifting and almost a blissful experience. At least it is for me. But at the time it can drive you absolutely bananas. And I had this happen to me. I had a gym. I opened up a gym. It took me years to get it going, and it was finally going very well. I also had another thing I was doing, and I put so much time and energy into it, and I spent my whole life as a personal trainer, and then it just all of what I said happened to me, and it was like, I became so repelled by every part of that experience that I just shut the thing down and jumped into the unknown completely, because it just felt lighter. It felt better. Thankfully, to my psychic impressions, I had a little bit of faith that it was going to work out okay. But again, these very fundamental core changes might move you around more than you deem is comfortable. And yet, it's going to be an experience that has a lot of maybe benefits you would have never perceived. Now, if I could go back and talk to my old self, I would have reckoned he would have preferred to just sort of jump from one reality to the next, not have to deal with all the messy transition. But I've discovered that on one hand, it can be done. These massive life shifts that you might be feeling it's time to make or time to start working towards, they will happen for you if you're going towards something that really resonates. It's in your cards. And though it can be kind of a messy process, the process itself is so it catalyzes so much growth in you that even though it can suck at times, and a lot of the time, unfortunately, it's going to benefit you. So when you make these big shifts, again, because of these core changes going on with you, there's a whole extra benefit. There's a whole can't think of the word, but something you didn't see coming, and yet is super exciting. How you change and how you mold and transform as a person on the journey. So don't be weary if you're feeling like life is up in the air right now. It probably is. It's because you're changing so much that you're struggling to keep up with it, but you'll keep up with it. You don't set a pace for yourself that you can't manage. You just think that from time to time that it's unmanageable, but it's not. Number 6 is your perception of yourself and where you stand in like the universe is becoming just ripped, just wide open. You're starting to come to the realization that there's a lot more to all of this than you previously thought. There are other dimensions, other realms, other planets, other types of beings of all kinds. So you might find yourself just contemplating, learning about, excited about, becoming aware of, and actually believing information that pertains to like extraterrestrials, other types of beings that you can't perceive, like fairies and gnomes and all that kind of stuff. When you think of yourself, you're just becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller in the grand scheme of things. And a lot of this is just kind of comes once you are your vibration keeps raising, and not that your vibrational ascent progress is determined in any way by how much you know, but it's natural to start to learn things that are more relevant to someone who's starting to live in a higher vibrational state of being. The idea of extraterrestrials, the idea of you maybe are one, the idea that they're around all over the place and we just can't necessarily perceive them, that doesn't shake you up. That a lot of you sense that yourselves. To a large extent, the wool has been pulled over humanity's eyes to a shocking degree. And that wool is becoming taken off you again. I couldn't think of a really cool analogy, but that's what's happening. The blinders are being lifted and you're starting to see things as they actually are. And it's equally exciting as it is a little bit scary and unnerving because it's so foreign, the ideas of all this. But it's okay, because I've learned that I come into information about, I guess, the nature of reality at a rate that I'm able to assimilate and adjust to just fine. There sometimes are periods where I come upon information that's shocking to me and takes a little bit of time to digest, but essentially I have not broken psychologically just yet. We'll see. Number 7 is you feel in your body, in your gut, in your heart. Not so much clear in your mind just yet, but you can feel and sense super strongly that we have really just begun. We haven't seen anything yet. We're sort of on the precipice of a massive paradigm shift. And though we can speculate of what that's going to look like, no one really knows. And yet it's so massive, the magnitude of what we are going through, what you're aware of, what you're feeling in your body, in your heart, in your soul. It's really can't really be put into words at all. I've attempted many times, and I don't think words do the feeling of anticipation justice, but we all feel it, we all know it, we all sense it, that these energies are coming and they're building and they are accumulating, and there's a sense of pressure. And we sense this pressure is going to lead to some sort of pop and release, and nothing will be the same after that point.